So this is a marble, and now you are seeing a lot of marbles in slow motion. And you are wondering why you are watching marbles in music production tutorial. Controlling a local energy. This is the part a lot of beginner producers and intermediate producers misses. If you take a look at their tracks, they oftentimes look like this. A verse going like this on the energy level, and then they have some transitions, and bam, we have the new energy level continuing all the way. The problem with this approach is the energy levels is always the same, so getting used to the track extremely fast. So local energy control works like this. Instead of having flat lines, you change the energy levels in the micro scale. You go that transition again, and then you jump, but you don't flatline. You have these local changes all the time, and energy levels are much more dynamic, much interesting to listen to, simply because there are a lot of things happening. Let's take an example. In this case, I have a track from Bicep. Gorgeous track, isn't it? A lot of local energy controls going on. For example, the hi-hat. Cool rhythm, cool groove, but the magic happens when we turn on this automation. We have this parallel chain. The first chain is the dry chain, just hi-hat sound, and the second chain is the wet chain, where we have the reverb first, and then we use overdrive to get this really dirty sound. And we are just controlling the mix of this dry and dirty sound together with this one single note. Really simple idea. Almost every 2 bars we are kind of having some drastic changes even. It emphasizes the end of the tracks really nice way. Take a listen here. Cool, isn't it? Other thing that adds up to the micro energy control is the bass reeds over here. It's just a serum patch, right? Here is 4 bars. Look at the cutoff. The aggressiveness of the bass sound moves upwards. This adds up to the creating anticipation of each 4 bars in the track. It doesn't need to be always this type of more dirtiness, this additional of adding extra snares at the beginning of each bar. Get aggressive and then the reset. Those percussion hits really can adapt to control your dynamics, giving a bit more aggressiveness. The final piece over here is this pad sound. Approaching a bit more classical way, we are automating the cutoff frequency. So the first hit is a bit brighter because we want this drastic in. Getting a bit darker here. And then we're gonna go up. And then right here we have this bell sound. So we reach the top point and then we move slightly back again because we don't want to overtake once this comes in, right? Long-term musicians would call this feeling the groove or feeling the music, but all you do is actually control the micro energies to reflect the emotions that you are going for. Let's say you are using a loop for only 2 bars and you want to use these 2 bars to fill 16 bar loop over here. The problem is we will just copy paste it everywhere. To get the 16 bars loop, we actually use the same loop total of 8 times. Regardless of how much change that you made in your initial loop, this will lead to very repetitive track. Now the same exercise for the 4 bars loop. Now everything is a bit easier. We have only duplicated this 4 times, less repetitive track compared to the previous one. And this is actually my favorite, starting with at least 8 bar loop. So to get a 16 bar loop, that means just repeating that twice. This will sound much less repetitive. You see a huge difference. Let's explain this on Ableton. So listen here and try to see where the track is looping. I make it quite obvious for you simply because of this small drop right here looping around at each 8 bars. So what I want you to focus on is this area. Repeat again over here, right? The good thing with this type of tracks, it's the same loop, but when I add new stuff over here, it almost feels like a new loop. And one simple trick introducing polyrhythms or polymeters, I'm introducing arpeggios. Take a look at the repetitiveness of this arpeggio. This is a quarter bar, it's a quarter and a half, so it's a polymeter. Makes it even harder in this part of the track where actually the loop is. This way track never really gets boring because while you are hearing the same sounds, they are in a different placement. Also, as a stub over here. Right? In the first 4 bars, it's coming at the second half, but in the second 4 bars, it comes in the first half. Breaking the expectation feels more complex than it is, right? 8-bar loops gives you a lot of opportunities to play with the expectations and make everything much more complex than it is. This is, by the way, my next track. It will be released this Friday. If you want to purchase or take a listen, I will add the link below. Take a look there. It sounds like this. While I was making this track, I realized that I really need a lot of stabs and horns. And because of that, I create this new horns and stab sample pack. If you need this type of sounds, take a look. Not giving a break from idea. Very common mistake that I always see when I give feedback. You find something very beautiful, but then you just use it from start to end of the track without any break. Your listeners will get bored of your track. For example, if you had the idea for only 1 minute rather than 6 minutes, listener will repeat the track. If you use the same sequence for 6 minutes, I'm not listening your track again. The track gets really repetitive and boring. So an example, this is one of my releases from this year. I really like this idea over here, the CLack leads. Idea is I can tease my listeners. This is the arrangement decision. At the beginning of the track, really short time. From here to there, we're only talking about 29 seconds. And because it's automated, you don't even realize it. It's really dark. And here we reveal. And then track cuts it off completely until the second half of the break. A lot of things happen, track resets itself, and then comes the arpeggio. This works because people who like the melody over here will be expecting all the way down over here. This track is like a 5-6 minutes long. We are using only for 2 minutes. People will be listening to this again and again. The same idea even applies to the lead sound. Coming from my unlocked techno preset pack, the first part in the first drop a minute, and then it comes in the second half 12 minutes in the total track. So when you have a good idea, make people crave for it. Why you're watching marbles? So when you look at the marbles, when you throw a lot of marbles, it is really overwhelming. Too many marbles to look at. It's really easy to miss that big marble, what type of details that has. So it really gets hard to appreciate the work over here. But when we throw less marbles at once, it's much easier what's going on, like a track, right? Now we don't have many lead sounds or many sounds at once, so we can really see and take a look at that big marble and appreciate it more. Let's take a look how magnification of an idea works. Take a listen this loop now. Okay, what's going on? Problem over here, a lot of good ideas, but there is really no magnification. You want to magnify an idea that will act as a hook to grab the attention of the listeners. In this track, our sound that should be magnified is this lead sound. Very fat lead sound, but we have a lot of things that shouldn't be here. For example, we have this roll out. Crashing so hard with the original, this is just blurring the sound. There are too many marbles here. Let's take off some of the marbles, right? Have this cool pat sound. Too much blurriness, lead it off. By just leading this tune, already much better. We should be definitely playing around with the volume levels. This cool CLack. When the main lead comes, we can duck this a little bit. Now take a listen by just mixing right how the same loop levels up. By the way, this is the 5th video of my arrangement series, and if you want to learn more about the arrangement, take a look at here. There's a bunch of videos that can really help you to arrange your tracks better in the future.